You walked into that dealership thinking you were going to get a straight answer. You left with a $1,200, quote, a service writer smiling at you like you were a fool, and an engine that still pings under load. And the worst part is, you already knew deep down that half of what they told you was nonsense designed to keep you coming back. That's the cycle, isn't it? The fuel bill that climbs every month, the power that bled out of your engine somewhere between 60,000 and 100,000 miles and never came back, the repair invoices that stack up in the glove box like parking tickets. You change the oil on time, you buy the premium fuel when they tell you to, you pay for the induction service. The throttle body cleaning, the fuel system flush, and your engine still feels tired. Here's the truth they don't want sitting on your phone. The mainstream advice, the dealership service menu, the manufacturer's lifetime fluids, the shop foreman telling you that your only option is a new set of injectors. That advice was not written to make your engine last, it was written to make their quarter. The old mechanics, the ones who rebuilt engines in dirt floor garages before computers, ran the show. New tricks that cost $0 and made tired engines breathe like they were brand new. Most of those tricks are now quietly discouraged, voided from your warranty, or technically against emissions rules in certain states not. They don't work, but because they work too well and they cut the dealer out of the loop. And the frustrating part is, as long as you keep following the script they handed you, nothing changes. The power stays gone, the fuel keeps disappearing, the repair bills keep coming. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the 17 $0 tricks the old timers use to wake up any engine. And I'm going to split them into two clean halves. First, the tricks that restore lost power inside the engine itself, the combustion side, where carbon, heat, and bad habits steal horsepower 1 mile at a time. Second, the tricks that unlock power outside the combustion chamber, the airflow, the fuel delivery, the electrical side that almost nobody touches. And at the end, I'll give you the single prevention habit that keeps every one of these gains locked in permanently. So you only have to do this once. Part 1, restoring lost combustion power, the carbon and heat problem. This matters first because this is where 90% of your missing horsepower actually went. It didn't evaporate, it got buried under carbon. Here is what you instinctively do when your engine starts feeling soft. You pour in a bottle of fuel system cleaner from the parts store, you take it on the freeway, you mash the pedal a few times and you tell yourself you blew the carbon out. It feels good. It feels like you did something, but here is what is actually happening under your hood. Modern direct injection engines and even port injection engines past about 80,000 miles build a layer of baked carbon on the back of the intake valves that can reach 2 to 3 millimeters thick. That carbon chokes airflow into the cylinder by as much as 15%, and no fuel additive in the tank ever touches it, because the fuel never sprays on the back of those valves in a direct injection setup. You're cleaning a room the dirt isn't even in. So the reframe is this: you are not low on power, you are low on air. Now here is what actually works, and it costs nothing. Trick 1, the Italian tune-up, the way the old guys did it. Get the engine to full operating temperature, find a safe stretch of road, drop it into a lower gear, and hold it between 4,000 and 5,000 revolutions per minute for about 60 seconds at a time, 3 or 4 pulls. The exhaust gas temperature climbs past 1,200 degrees Fahrenheit and starts oxidizing the softer carbon deposits off the piston crowns and the exhaust valves. Trick 2, the steam decarbon. With the engine warm and idling around 1,500 revolutions per minute, slowly trickle plain distilled water, a small stream, not a flood down the throttle body or through a vacuum line. The water flashes to steam in the combustion chamber and physically blasts carbon off the valve faces and piston tops. The old timers did this with a Coke bottle and a length of hose. It is technically frowned on in modern emission states. The carbon comes out the tailpipe in a black cloud, which is exactly how you know it worked. Trick 3, lean out your idle warm-up. Stop letting your engine idle for 5 minutes in the driveway on cold mornings. A cold idle dumps unburned fuel down the cylinder walls, washes the oil film off, and bakes carbon onto everything. Start it, give it 30 seconds, and drive gently. You will gain back compression you didn't know you lost. And the mini prevention tip that ties this whole half together: once a month, take your engine above 4,000 revolutions per minute for at least 1 full minute on the highway. Engines are heat machines. They clean themselves when you let them get hot. Babying it is what's killing it. Part 2, and this is a completely different problem, technically separate from carbon, this is the airflow. Fuel and spark side, where power leaks out before combustion even happens, you can have a perfectly clean combustion chamber and still be down 20 horsepower. The air, the fuel, or the spark is being strangled before it ever gets to the cylinder. And the universal mistake almost every driver makes here is assuming that because the check engine light is off, everything upstream is fine. It isn't. A dirty mass airflow sensor, a lazy oxygen sensor, a partially clogged injector, a spark plug gap that is eroded 0.3 millimeters will never throw a code. It will quietly cost you 3 to 5 miles per gallon. Rob your throttle response for months until one day you're staring at a $4,000 quote for a misfire that wrecked a catalytic converter. So here is what the old mechanics did and what the dealer will never recommend because none of it generates a labor ticket. Method 1. Clean your mass airflow sensor with nothing but isopropyl alcohol. Pop the intake tube, unclip the sensor, and gently mist the 2 little wires or the hot plate with 90% isopropyl. Do not touch them. Let it air dry for 10 minutes and reinstall. That sensor measures the air entering your engine, and when it gets coated with oil, mist, and dust, it underreports airflow by as much as 8%, which means the computer is dumping the wrong amount of fuel into every cylinder, every stroke, for years. A clean sensor alone can give you back 2 miles per gallon and noticeably sharper throttle. Method 2. Regap and index your spark plugs by hand. Pull each plug, check the gap with a feeler gauge, and bring it back to the factory spec, usually around 0.44 millimeters or 28 thousandths of an inch depending on your engine. Worn plugs run wide, and a wide gap means the coil has to work harder to jump the spark, which means weaker ignition, incomplete combustion, and wasted fuel. While you have them out, index them, rotate each plug so the open side of the electrode faces the intake valve. The old racers did this because it exposes more of the flame kernel to the incoming charge and gives you a faster, more complete burn. It costs $0 and the dealer will laugh at you for asking right before they sell you a new coil pack. Method 3. Restore your throttle body by hand. Pull the intake boot, hold the throttle plate open, and wipe the inside of the bore. The back of the plate with a rag and throttle body cleaner. The carbon ring that builds up around the edge of that plate physically restricts airflow at small throttle openings, which is exactly where you drive 90% of the time. Clean it, and your idle smooths out, your cold starts get cleaner, and your part throttle response wakes up immediately. Method 4. Unplug your battery for 15 minutes after any of these jobs. The engine computer stores fuel and timing corrections based on the old, dirty, restricted state of your engine. Disconnect the negative terminal, wait, reconnect, and the computer relearns from scratch around the newly cleaned hardware. Most people skip this step and wonder why they didn't feel the gains. Method 5. Check and clean your engine ground straps. There are usually 2 or 3 braided cables running from the engine block to the chassis and the firewall. Over 10 or 15 years, they corrode at the bolt, resistance climbs, and your ignition coils, injectors, and sensors all start running on slightly weaker voltage. Unbolt them, wire brush the contact points down to bright metal, bolt them back tight. You just gave every electrical component in your engine bay a clean, full-strength signal again, and you'll feel it in the throttle within the first mile. Most people think power loss is mechanical wear, but actually in an engine under 200,000 miles, the vast majority of lost power is build-up restriction. Bad signals, all of which are free to fix in your driveway with a rag and a screwdriver. Part 3. Prevention. Here is the one single habit that locks every gain from this video in permanently, and it costs you nothing but 10 minutes a month. Drive your engine hot, drive it hard, change your oil at 5,000 miles with a full synthetic of the correct viscosity for your engine, not the 7,500, 10,000 mile interval the manufacturer prints in the manual to make their warranty math work. The reason this one habit ties everything together is mechanical. Heat and clean oil are the only 2 forces inside your engine that actively remove deposits while they prevent new ones from forming. Hot oil under pressure scrubs the rings, keeps the variable valve timing solenoids clean, flushes carbon precursors out of the crankcase, and keeps the oil control rings free so they wipe the cylinder walls properly instead of glazing them. Use a quality full synthetic in the viscosity stamped on your oil cap. change it at 5,000 miles, and one time a week take the engine past 4,000 revolutions per minute for 60 seconds on a safe stretch of road. Do that and you will save somewhere between $400 and $800 a year in fuel avoided shop visits. Parts you never have to replace, and you will add easily 50,000 to 100,000 miles to the life of the engine you already own. Now, once you start running your engine clean, hot, and properly fueled, you are going to notice something nobody warned you about. Your oil consumption is going to change. Some of you are going to find that an engine that used to burn half a quart between changes is suddenly bone dry on the dipstick. Some of you, especially on higher mileage motors, are going to find the opposite, that cleaning the rings and freeing up the oil control system actually reveals a small leak, a slow burn you couldn't see before because the carbon was sealing it. If your engine starts using oil after you apply these tricks, drop a comment below. Tell me exactly how much it's using and over how many miles. The next video I'm putting out walks you through the exact $0 method the old mechanics used to stop oil burn. Oil leaks without ever cracking the engine open, the same trick that's quietly banned from every dealership service menu in the country. Subscribe so you don't miss it, because if you applied even half of what I just showed you, that's the next problem coming for you, and I want you ready for it before it costs you a dime. Before we close this out, I want to give you a few more of these tricks that didn't make the main list. Absolutely belong in your back pocket. The difference between a guy who gets 200,000 miles out of an engine and a guy who gets 400,000 isn't luck. It's the accumulation of small habits done consistently over years. Trick number 15. Every third or fourth fill-up, top off with 1 grade higher octane than your manual calls for. Not premium every time, that's a waste of money on an engine designed for regular. The occasional tank of higher octane carries more detergent additives by federal requirement. Back in 1996, when the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, set the minimum detergent standards under the Clean Air Act, the major brands started loading their premium blends with 2 to 3 times the cleaning agents of base regular. Chevron, Shell, and Exxon publish these numbers if you dig for them. 1 tank every 1,000 miles will scrub your injectors cleaner than any bottle of additive you can buy at the parts counter for $9. Trick number 16. Check your gas cap seal once a year. I'm dead serious. A cracked gas cap gasket, the little rubber ring that costs about $1.50 to replace, is responsible for nearly 1-inch 5-check engine lights in vehicles over 8 years old. According to the data CarMD released in 2019, a bad seal lets fuel vapor escape, throws off your evaporative emission system, and on some modern engines it'll actually lean out your mixture under load. Pull the cap, run your finger around the rubber, and if it feels dry, cracked, or flat instead of soft and pliable, replace it. Cheapest insurance in the automotive world. Trick number 17, and this is the one nobody talks about. Park facing out. Sounds ridiculous, I know. But cold starts where the engine has to immediately work hard backing up a slope, cranking the wheel sharply. Accelerating from a dead stop are the single most damaging 30 seconds in your engine's daily life. Studies done by SAE engineers back in the early 2000s show that the first 90 seconds of operation account for roughly 75% of total engine wear. Park facing out, let it idle for 30 seconds, and roll away gently. Your bearings, your timing chain, and your turbo, if you have one, will thank you for the next 200,000 miles.